How can blowing bubbles help you enjoy better sleep?
Hi, I'm Duncan Price from Mind Affinity, and I'm a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, and I specialise in helping people with stress, anxiety and related problems. One of the most common related problems to stress and anxiety is sleep. A lack of it, or a lack of quality sleep. So I found myself regularly giving people advice on things that they can do to improve the quality as well as the quantity of their sleep. And I've decided to put all of that advice together into one simple handy guide with some hints and tips. And I'm going to share some of the advice with you guys right now, because Friday the 13th of March this year is Sleep Awareness Day. And I would love to give something back to the wonderful people of Helping Hands and all of their supporters. So I'm doing this video specifically for them so that they can share it and give some hints, tips and advice on how you can enjoy a better quality of sleep as well. I could stand here and go through a whole list of stuff, and I could talk for hours on different things you can do for sleep, but I'm going to keep it to 3 simple areas to make it easier for you to take on board. The first is routine. Routine is so important for sleep. When you have a good and a positive sleep routine, your mind knows to expect to get to sleep more easily and more readily at the right time, and therefore it makes it easier to do so. It also, and this is just as important, makes it easy for you to wake up and get up at the right time as well. If you have that consistency, then it creates a better balance within your mind and body, helps you to balance your circadian rhythms. We won't go into all of the science of it just now. In simple terms, what you can do to improve the routine around your sleep is start off by going to bed at about the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. That's really important. People have this misconception that you can skip out on sleep during the week and then catch up at the weekend, but it doesn't work that way, because the quality of your sleep, even when you're doing that catch-up, won't be as good. So getting into a regular routine and pattern can really, really help. Other things is to make sure that as part of that routine, you have a positive bedtime routine. This means not staring at your phone for hours on end when you should be going to sleep. It means not laying in bed scrolling through Facebook or watching this video when really you should be focusing on sleep. In fact, phones are one of the most detrimental things to people's sleep these days, partly because of the blue light that it emits, which disrupts our natural cycles and makes it more difficult for us to rest and switch off, but also because we're staring at those constantly changing pixels. It makes our minds more active. Although it makes our eyes more tired, it doesn't do that to the rest of us. So screens can be a really, really bad thing. And the other thing is that we're designed, you get this little trickle of dopamine as you keep scrolling through, waiting for that post that's going to give you that endorphin rush and make you feel good. So we're encouraged to keep going. And so it's very easy to just keep scrolling, and before you know it, it's dumb o'clock in the morning and you still haven't gone to bed or gone to sleep. So one of the easiest ways to improve this is keep bed for 2 things and 2 things only. The first is sleeping, and the second one I won't talk about in this video because it'd be inappropriate. If you keep bed and bedtime purely for sleep, it helps your mind to expect that when you go to bed, you are ready to sleep. Which means that if you are going to play on your phone before bed, which I recommend avoiding for at least half an hour, if not longer, before bedtime, but if you are going to do it, at least do that until you get into bed. And then when you get into bed, put your phone down, ideally in a separate room or at the other end of the room. Even if you've got an alarm set on your phone to wake you up, put it the other side of the room. Then it stops you from playing on your phone in bed, whether that's before sleep, in the middle of the night, or first thing when you wake up. What else? So creating that positive sleep routine, going to bed well, also includes things like reading, watching TV, etc. It's great if you can dedicate some time at the end of your day to really relax and unwind. One of the things that often stops people from being able to get to sleep easily is having lots of thoughts racing through their head. So one of the easiest ways to deal with that is to write them all down. Not in great detail and write essays of everything that you're thinking about, but just simply jot down the bullet points of what's on your mind at that time. It helps to actually complete those thoughts rather than keep going round in a loop, and it gets them out of your head and onto the paper, which allows you to then put them down for the night, making it easier to sleep. And finally, at this point, trying to empty your mind is what a lot of people do when they're trying to sleep and when they're struggling to sleep. And so all they focus on is trying to not think about stuff. But the moment you try to not think about something, you end up thinking about it because you need to know what it is to not think about it, and then you failed already. Complicated, right? No wonder people stay awake all night. So instead, don't try and clear and empty your mind. Pick something, a thought, a positive and a relaxing thought, and really focus on it. That could be something as simple as closing your eyes and imagining watching a nice crackling fire and watching the flames dance and flicker, if that relaxes you. Or it could be something more complicated, like a real visualization where you imagine yourself going on a journey, walking through nature, floating down a river, whatever it might be that works for you, that helps you to really relax. And if you engage all of your senses, imagine what you would hear, what you would see, what you would smell, what you would feel, what you would taste, all of those things, then your mind will be far too busy thinking about that really nice relaxing images and that's relaxing scene to be busy thinking about all the stuff that otherwise would be disrupting and disturbing your sleep. Worst case scenario, you spend some time really relaxing and unwinding. Even if you don't fall to sleep, that sounds like a positive to me. Far better than scrolling on your phone or tossing and turning all night. So that's the first thing. Create that positive sleep routine. There's loads more that you can do on that, and I'll give you a link, or there'll be a link below where you can find out more. That's positive sleep routine. The next thing, once you've got your sleep routine sorted, or working on that, the other thing to think about, and the thing that people forget most, is it's not just about what you do when you get to bed and not what you do at night, but it's also about what you do during the day. This is the part that people forget about or ignore intentionally most when it comes to improving their sleep. They think about everything they need to do at night because that's when sleep is on your mind most. But actually, one of the most important things you can do to improve your quality of sleep, or a number of the most important things, actually come during the day. So do you, when you first get up, move? And when I say move, I mean gentle exercise. I mean, hey, hit the gym if that's your thing, great. But at least taking a nice brisk walk or doing some morning stretches, yoga if you fancy it, but something to get the body moving and to get ideally get your heart rate up slightly as well. Because what that does is that tells your mind and your body, it's morning now. It's daytime and it's time to be awake. It helps you feel more awake during the day, which in turn helps you balance your rhythms so you can sleep better at night, having burnt off more energy during the daytime. It also makes you healthier in general, which is a good thing, and the healthier you are, the better you will sleep. Allowing for other extraneous variables, of course. So getting up first thing, making sure you are active during the day, eating a healthy diet. Sugar can play havoc with your sleep. Caffeine can play havoc with your sleep as well. So, and there's more advice and tips on that in my guide. But making sure that you have a healthy diet and you think about what you're putting into your system, because all of this can have a big impact on your quality of sleep as well as the quantity of it. So, create the right routine for sleep. Make sure that during the day you're doing the right things to help you sleep. And then when finally it does come to bedtime and for the actual sleep time, the other thing to look at is your sleep environment. So take into consideration everything around you when you're sleeping. Is it dark? It's really important that you sleep in the dark. See, the pineal gland, or pineal gland, which is sort of located in the center of the brain, is linked directly to the retinal nerve, and the amount of light that you get through your eyelids, but also absorbed through your skin, directly impacts the serotonin and melatonin balance and release within your system. I won't go too much into the science, as I said, but basically, daylight makes you feel more awake, dark makes you sleep better, in essence. So if you're creating more melatonin, if it's darker, you will create more of that. It's known as the sleep hormone. It's not strictly true. It doesn't send you to sleep, but what it does do is prepare your body for a better quality of sleep, effectively. So it's really important that you sleep in the dark. It's also really important you get sunlight during the day to help balance that. Other things to do to improve your sleep environment is to think about the temperature between 15 and 20 degrees C. Hotter than that, you will not sleep well. Colder than that, you will not sleep well. So get that right temperature. And different people prefer to sleep at different temperatures. You might want you find some people who have one leg hanging out of the duvet but want 3 duvets on top of them at the same time. Whatever works for you is fine, but create that right temperature. And actually, while we're talking about bedding, that's important as well. Quality of sheets will definitely make a difference. You want something breathable. You want something that's going to help absorb the moisture away from your body, because you will sweat while you sleep. And that will really help to regulate your body temperature better and give you a better quality of sleep. Sound is another thing that's really important. So if it's okay if you've got consistent background noise. It's ideal if you can sleep in complete silence, but a lot of people won't be used to that as well. But if you can manage and moderate the background noise so that at least you don't have huge peaks and troughs in sound. So if you're the kind of person that has the TV on a timer and then it suddenly stops, you shouldn't have the TV on for good sleep, by the way, anyway. But yeah, that sudden change in music, or in volume rather, even if it just suddenly stops, is just as bad as noises suddenly starting. So trying to have it as quiet as possible would be ideal, but at least consistent across the board. So white noise, for example, some people find can really help them to sleep. If you need or enjoy white noise to help you get to sleep, then make sure that if it is like a track that comes to an end, make sure that it fades out gently and slowly at the end and isn't just an abrupt finish. So lighting, sound, and bedding and temperature are really important parts of creating the right sleep environment. So if you get your sleep environment right, make sure you're doing the right things during the day. It then makes it a lot easier to have that consistency and routine to manage during the night. That's it. There is loads more tips and advice I can give you. Please head to my website where you can find a sleep guide, and as you can see, it is full of hints and tips and ideas and things that you can do to improve your sleep. It's completely free, so check out the website and download it. There's so many things that I've not mentioned, and I realise I've not answered the question that I started with. So just before I go, let me explain to you how blowing bubbles can help you sleep. This is particularly useful if you find that you're waking up in the night and want to get back to sleep more easily. But it also works if you do it just before bed. So if you do find that you wake up in the night, the first thing to do, if there's no reason for you to have woken up. So if you've woken up because you need the toilet, go to the toilet. But if you find that you're waking up and you're not quite sure of the reason, or it's just a routine that you've got into, the first thing to do is go back to sleep. If you can do that within 15 minutes, brilliant. After a maximum of 20 minutes, if you're not asleep at that point, get out of bed. Because by staying in bed and tossing and turning and trying to get back to sleep, and you're just stressing yourself out more, and you're just then associating bed with a place where you're not sleeping. And remember, we want to build up that routine, that expectation that bed equals sleep. So get out of bed and go and do something different, then return to bed to go back to sleep. There's a number of different things that you can do during that time, and actually one example of this, if you're definitely feeling awake and don't want to, splash your face with cold water. If you're kind of feeling partly sleepy, that might wake you up more. But if you're feeling quite awake and you want to feel more sleepy, splash your face with cold water, then the mammalian dive reflex will kick in. Basically, your heart rate will lower and it'll help you to fall back to sleep. But the other thing you can do is blow bubbles. And why is that helpful? Because when you blow bubbles, the first thing you do is you take a nice deep breath, which is exactly what you should be doing if you want to relax more. But you're not focusing on it as thinking about needing to relax. You're just taking that breath. The next reason is because you're doing something completely different that you've never done before. At least I've never got up in the night to blow bubbles before, unless I'm trying to get better sleep, of course. By doing something different, you can expect a different result. So therefore, by doing something so out of the ordinary, like blowing bubbles in the middle of the night, It allows your mind to then expect that different result of getting back to sleep more easily. But that's not all. It works on more levels than that as well. Blowing bubbles in itself is quite a relaxing thing. It reminds you of childhood and carefree days, which is nice, and puts the mind into a positive state. Also, watching those bubbles float and drift, just like someone would float or drift off to sleep. There's that natural association with relaxation. And when the bubbles pop and gently fall down, again, there's a lot of links there to the kind of imagery that we think about when we're thinking about sleep. So, those are my top tips of enjoying better quality sleep.